Hello everyone, and thank you for joining me for another episode of UX Spotlight, where we see the world through the eyes of a UX designer. And on today's Spotlight is The Simpsons, specifically the episode Oh Brother, Where Art Thou from Season 2, number 15.
Oh brother, where art thou?
In this episode, Grandpa confesses to Homer that he has a rich, successful brother named Herbert, who owns a car company. Homer visits him and ends up being asked to design the next car for his brother, as he feels Homer is the everyday person he should be targeting. Herbert makes Homer the product owner in the end and gives him full control of absolutely everything. You can imagine how that goes. Unsurprisingly, the car is dead on arrival, it's ugly, has a ridiculous price point, and Herbert eventually has to close the company, wishing he never met Homer. This episode is addressing so many issues the companies are facing, from the innovator's dilemma to egotistical product owners, to research and design processes, and the Dunning-Kruger effect. In this episode of UX Spotlight, I will focus on the research, the jobs to be done, and I will talk a little bit about the Dunning-Kruger effect. So let's begin. In the scene we're about to see, Herbert is asking Homer to pick a car, and Homer is trying to find the car that suits his needs based on his favorite things. It seems they don't have such a car, and Herbert now wants Homer to design it. Notice what Herbert is saying about the decision-making processes.
I'd like a big one then.
We don't have a big one.
Why not?
Because Americans don't want big cars.
Well, then give me one with lots of pep.
Sorry, our cars don't have pep.
Why not?
Because Americans want good mileage, not pep.
This is why we're getting killed in the marketplace. Instead of listening to what people want, you're telling them what they want.
As we can see, Herbert is upset that his team, instead of listening to what people want, they're telling them what they want. Herbert believes Homer represents what people want, and as a result, he is putting him in charge of everything. The bit about telling people what they want is very close to this famous quote by late Steve Jobs. Some people say, give the customers what they want, but that's not my approach. Our job is to figure out what they're going to want before they do. I think Henry Ford once said, if I'd asked customers for what they want, they would have told me a faster horse. People don't know what they want until you show it to them. That's why I never rely on market research. Our task is to read things that are not yet on the page. This must be one of the most misinterpreted quotes by Steve Jobs, leading people to believe that Apple wasn't or isn't doing any research. The key words here are rely and market research. The first word, rely, doesn't mean they weren't doing market research, it's that this wasn't the only thing driving the decisions. The other word is market research. So let's quickly talk about research in general. When you are in the physical or digital product development business, what you're making will eventually end up in the hands of the people who will trust you with their money, which is your customers. To ensure that people buy and will keep buying what it is that you're offering, and so the company keeps the lights on, there are a few but very important questions that need to be asked. First of all, which problem are you solving with the product or service? Secondly, who potentially cares about your product? Meaning, who has that problem? And thirdly, what is the best way to solve it? The first question means identify the need, and to answer that question, we need to talk to our potential customers. If there is no need, there is no product. User research helps to identify this. You don't need many people to do user research, by the way, because quality is what matters in most cases here, as opposed to numbers. The second question is to identify the group of people this product will be used by. Market research helps us understand which segment of the population we're targeting. That's where you need the numbers. The quantity here tells a story and gives the company a steer. The third question is about how the product that is being designed solves the problem we identified for the group of people we predict will use it. Usability testing helps to answer that. Sometimes the terms usability testing and user research are used interchangeably, but the main difference is that the user research identified needs and behaviors of your target group prior to design. So you know what you're designing for. Usability testing identifies issues with a proposed solution to fine-tune it and happens during the design process. So first, you find what they need and then, is it working? Basically, think about it like this, using the horse example. You need to reach out to as broad number of people as possible to figure out what it is they want. And yes, they will tell you they want a faster horse. So your audience basically solutionized. We will see Homer doing this in a bit, by the way. Now you do your user research and you go ask a sample of your audience a few questions. And maybe you visit them, you watch them, use what they're currently using. You ask them maybe to write a diary with their thoughts and describe their experiences. You observe how they work with the horse and the carriage, and notice the frustration of cleaning the horse and feeding it, and how high maintenance it is. Maybe they will tell you, I wish the horse was a machine, or I wish I could just use the carriage without the horse. What I'm getting at is, by digging deeper and by asking the right questions, an experienced researcher will eventually find that the users need some form of automation that gets them faster to places. This is a picture of a carriage. And this is a picture of the first car design, patented by Benz. So the desire for a faster horse and the analysis of that desire eventually leads to the car. But not to go from the carriage to the Ferrari, you need this, the first car. So we established that you can't actually ask people what they want, it's just you don't put them in charge of creating it. So in this episode, Herbert fails to do any of that, and instead gives full product ownership to Homer. Let's see how that goes. In the following scene, notice how Homer is approaching ideation.
All right, you eggheads! I want a place in this car to put my drink!
Sure.
I want a horn here, here, and here.
You can see Homer is listing the things he would like to see in a car. This is why you don't ask people what they want. They will answer your questions and give their feedback in the form of a solution, because that's how they can express it, based on their personal experience of this or similar products. Instead, you ask them what they need to accomplish, and then you design for that job. So what you need to accomplish is effectively the job to be done. Job to be done is a term popularized by the late Clayton Christensen in his article Finding the Right Job for Your Product, and then in Harvard Business Review, Know Your Customers, Jobs to be Done. It is about what the customer needs to accomplish and how the product helps them to do so. According to Christensen, when we buy a product, we essentially hire it to help us do a job. If it does the job well, the next time we're confronted with the same job, we tend to hire that product again. And if it does a crummy job, we fire it and look for an alternative. It's very simple, actually. He did an amazing talk where he explained this in practice.
We actually hire products to do things for us. And understanding what job we have to do in our lives for which we would hire a product is really the key to cracking this problem. Wonder what job arises in people's lives that cause them to come to this restaurant to hire a milkshake. Let me tell you, when I come here and hire this milkshake, it is so viscous that it easily takes me 20 minutes to suck it up that thin little straw. Who cares what the ingredients are? I don't. All I know is I'm full all morning and it fits right here in my cup holder. If you understand the job, how to improve the product becomes just obvious.
He was talking about a company, I think it was McDonald's, that wanted to expand the range of milkshake products. They were trying a few things like introducing new flavors or mixing existing flavors together, but nothing seemed to be working. They didn't get to see the numbers go up. So until they found out that actually there's a specific job that Milkshake was hired to do. And this was to keep the drivers occupied until they reached their destination. It wasn't about the taste. But they wouldn't have known this unless they went out, talked to people, asked people what they were doing, and then asked what job the Milkshake was, what job they were hiring the Milkshake to do. I will actually make it. This is an amazing topic, and I will make an episode about this in the future. In the next scene, find this one mistake that Homer is doing. It's super easy to spot.
No!
Now, this is the perfect example of a product owner who, instead of listening to the people with expertise in their respective areas and provide constructive feedback and direction maybe, they go rogue and they put together something by themselves. So Homer here has been given responsibility beyond his area of expertise, and now with little exposure to this new role within a very small time frame, he believes he's truly capable of doing it himself and actually doing everything by himself. This is called the Dunning-Kruger effect. The Dunning-Kruger effect is that when someone with low ability in a task tends to overestimate their ability because of the lack of in-depth knowledge or experience in the task. The surface level exposure to the topic or field, like the example with Homer, tends to remove any self-awareness, which then blinds them to their lack of competence. Now, if this person has a big ego, and on top of that you give them absolute power, well, you have a recipe for disaster.
All my life, I have searched for a car that feels a certain way. Powerful like a gorilla, yet soft and yielding like a Nerf ball. Now at last, I have found it.
So this is the ad for the car. This is exactly what it is. It's a car made by Homer, for Homer, by one person, for one person. It's exactly that. This car is made for Homer.
The Homer!
What does this monstrosity cost?
Jerry, what's the sticker price? $82,000! I'm ruined!
Now, this is the big unveiling of the car to the audience and apparently to the CEO himself. For the first time, this is funny, but it's unrealistic. There is literally no way the CEO wouldn't have seen this car prior to the event. These events are live, and for this reason they're well rehearsed, weeks or even months in advance, on a few occasions to avoid any surprises like that. But yeah, that's over the top. Also, the CEO should at least be involved in the pricing to sign it off. $82,000, by the way, is a little more than $154,000 in today's money. So apparently, because of this fiasco, the whole company closed. And now Herbert is broke. Well, first of all, companies don't close down as easily as the episode suggests. They should have other production lines going, and they also should have cash reserves for situations like that. In the next scene, notice what Herbert is telling Homer. Do you think it's justified?
Gee, Herb, because of me you lost your business, your home, and all your possessions. I can't help but think that maybe you would have been better off if I'd never come into your life.
Maybe I would have been better off. Maybe? Why, you spongehead? Of course I'd have been better off. As far as I'm concerned, I have no brother.
Maybe he just said that to make conversation.
Well, the answer is no, not really. At least to me. This isn't Homer's fault. Herbert here made a few mistakes. First of all, he gave absolute power to someone inexperienced, without any background in engineering, management, or design. without checking up on him and completely disregarding the concerns from his employees. I say, well, he got what he asked for. So I would say this episode is super funny, and unfortunately things like that happen all the time, although not to the degree shown here, obviously. But still, it may be too close to home for many designers out there, so I feel you. Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please like and subscribe if you found this useful, and I hope to see you again for my next one. Take care and design responsibly.